Hello, and welcome to the Regina A. Quick Center for the Arts at St. Bonaventure University for this episode of What's Happening at the Quick. I'm Dr. Rachel Harris, the Executive Director of the Quick Center, and I'm thrilled to bring you another enriching conversation. Joining me today are members of the renowned Reverón Piano Trio, a group dedicated to celebrating underrepresented music from Latin America alongside contemporary and standard repertoire. The Reverón Trio will be performing here on March 14th at 7:30 p.m. Named after the Venezuelan painter and sculptor Armando Reverón, the trio's mission is not only to bring visibility to the rich cultural heritage of Latin America, but also to commission and perform new works by living composers. Their artistry and scholarship have brought them to prestigious venues and festivals worldwide, from the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., to the Festival Casals in Puerto Rico. Today, we'll explore their passion for uncovering and sharing Latin American music, their inspirations as performers and educators, and their upcoming projects, including their latest recording and concert tours. Ana Maria, Simon, and Horacio, welcome to the Quick Center. Thank you so much for joining us. It means the world to us that you are here.
Thank you so much. We are delighted to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Your trio is named after Armando Reverón, one of the most important visual artists in Latin America. Who is he and what inspired you to connect your ensemble with his legacy? And how does his work influence your music?
Well, Armando Reverón is one of the most important modernist artists in Latin America, one of the pioneers, actually, of modernism in Latin America. He's a very well-known painter in Venezuela, but unfortunately outside of Venezuela, people don't really know his name. And when we got together for the first time and we decided that we wanted to be a group, we were looking for a name that would represent Venezuela under a positive light. And we were, brainstorming about different artists from Venezuela, and we all agreed that we really love his work and admire his work. So it seemed like a very organic, a very natural thing for us to bear the name of an important artist from Venezuela whom we all admire. As I said, he was a pioneer of modernism, and he was somebody that lived outside the normal, societal norms. He was a bit of a hermit. He had a very interesting life, and his works are strikingly beautiful in a very unusual way. So then, that's one of the main reasons that we decided to use his name as our group's name, so then we can try to make him more well-known here in the United States and even in other parts of Latin America where he might not be so recognized.
The central mission of your piano trio is to introduce audiences to underrepresented Latin American repertoire. Can you share how this mission began and how you go about uncovering these hidden gems in the classical music world?
The mission of sharing music from Latin America, I think, is natural to all of us because we are all from Latin America. We're all from Venezuela, and as immigrants here, it's not only a way to make a meaningful contribution to the society by showing repertoires that might be more familiar for us, that are really valuable and fantastic as artistic works. But it's also a way for us to keep connected with our own identity or with our own heritage. So I believe it's an ideal situation for us because it keeps us near home, near where we are, and at the same time, it makes us a meaningful part of the society.
You've performed works by living composers like Ricardo Lorenz and Miguel de la Aguila. How do collaborations with contemporary composers enhance your connection to Latin American music?
So has been a very beautiful experience to get to work with living composers, friends, and magnificent artists. I think the sonorities of the trio has been increasing because of these collaborations, and the creative approach to our playing is certainly growing thanks to this collaboration. So these composers are certainly not only great composers for Latin American music, just great composers, and that we are very proud to be part of this team, demonstrating what they can also create for a general audience.
So, and we can go on and talk about the broader theme of representation in classical music while you're shining a spotlight on Latin American repertoire. What is about classical music that you would like to share?
I think all of us as educators and as musicians, we believe that it's important for us and for our students to be exposed to a variety of styles and a variety of time periods. And while, of course, we're very much committed to the music of Latin America, and while we really love and admire these composers, we also really enjoy playing Mozart and playing Turina or playing Mendelssohn, and we find that having a variety of repertoire in a recital can also be really interesting for the audience. And some people come to hear the Mendelssohn and some people come to hear Latin American music. And I think they can see how all of these works have intrinsic value in them in a different way. Also, we have been introducing music by European composers, but that are actually not so well known, some of them because they're women. So, for instance, in our last couple concerts, we included the trio by Fanny Mendelssohn that I believe we're going to perform at the Quick Center for the Arts. And people are astounded by how beautiful it is and also by how nobody knows it, and it's a wonderful piece of music. And I think the reason it wasn't well known just because women were not supposed to be composing back then. But the music is so incredibly beautiful, and inevitably people love it. So we think it's important for us as a trio to continue playing the classics, and also at the same time to continue playing 21st century works and to play music for Latin America, because all of them have a value that is very important.
So as classical music, as the world is becoming more inclusive, what challenges still exist for you in moving forward?
I think the challenges that exist for us exist for every musician as well. I think the challenges are basically shining new light every time we perform, and that can be by either bringing fresh performances of works that are known or by keeping our research and finding new pieces, new composers, commissioning pieces so that the relationship with audiences remains meaningful and fresh. So I have always been in love with that sensation of bringing something in a way or a work that people has never heard, so that they find that very unique experience that is unique nowadays, but that was actually the experience of a concert goer back in the 18th or the 19th century for the most part. So that is what I feel we all want to provide to our audiences.
So your performances have taken you across the globe, from Europe to North and South America. Do you find that audiences respond differently to your music in various cultural settings?
Sure. I think actually each culture will listen differently music based on their own root, and they can identify with certain sounds, rhythms. However, at the end of the day, the purpose is certainly just to make music and to entertain people. Finally, it's I don't think that we have to go that far just to have a great moment in a concert. So I think once we are on stage, we don't really know who is listening. So we are just trying to do our job as we should, and people get to enjoy normally are performances?
We had an interesting experience. We had a series of concerts in California earlier this year, and some of the concerts there were the outreach performances that we had for middle and high school students in San Francisco. And in the second concert, we played a movement of a Beethoven trio, and then we played a movement of a Latin American trio, modern actually. It was written in 2022. And then it occurred to me to ask the students, and they're all music students, so they play in orchestra. I say, okay, do you guys want to hear more like Beethoven or like classical music, or do you want to hear more Latin American music? So raise your hand. So how many want to hear Beethoven? Like nobody raised their hand. And we're like, okay, how many of you want to hear Latin American? And they're all like, yes. And we're like, interesting. And these are music students. And they're not very exposed because we asked them, like, who Piazzolla was, and no clue. So it's not like they're versed in Latin American music, but something about the rhythms or the colors really appealed to them, and that's what they wanted to hear. So I thought that was really interesting.
So to continue on, you're also educators at the University of Michigan and the University of North Texas. How does teaching inform your work as performers, particularly when it comes to introducing students to the Latin American music?
As I said before, I think it's very important for people to have an idea of what it is to bring something new and shine new light to audiences about the things that we are performing. And as music students, when we were music students, we were exposed to all of these contexts that surround all of these canonic works that, the context of those works are interesting and beautiful, but also foreign to us. Like when I heard about Vienna in the 19th century, for example, I had a hard time imagining what it would have been to be walking on the streets in Vienna in the 19th century. So I feel that the way at least I use music from Latin America is a part of what I do is I show to students how contexts influence the music and how context can provide ideas about the style of performance that you want to display when you approach a work, and so that they not only perform music from Latin America drawing from that kind of influence, but also understand a little bit more of how the influence of Beethoven's social and historical contexts might have influenced his own compositions.
So my next question is actually one of my favorites. As educators and performers, to any students who are looking to do what you do, what would you like to say or recommend to them? What advice would you give them for moving forward?
One thing I tend to tell my students and the kids that come at my summer festival is that if you're able to find something in music that you absolutely love, that you have a passion for, and at the same time, there's some sort of need out there for, if you're able to find something that has both of these characteristics, you're much more likely to succeed. Because I think the fact that there's a need for it will make people interested in what you're doing, and somewhere, even if it's a very niche thing, right? Be like, wow, look at what this person is doing. It's very different from the way people do this particular thing, or nobody's doing this thing, or nobody knows who this person is, or nobody's doing this particular repertoire, or in this way, or this arrangement, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but something that is new in some way and that you feel really passionate about, because that passion is going to fuel all the effort you're going to have to put in to take this thing off the ground, right? So it's in a way to create your own opportunity in something that you believe in, which is, I think, what happened to us. Like, we got together not because we wanted to be playing in big like stages all over the world and traveling. We just wanted to play music that we all loved. We wanted to feel part of, have a little home here in the States, since we're all from Venezuela. And then things started working out. And one of the things that our managers tend to say is that it's easier to sell what we do because there's nobody else is doing this. So, And I think at the end of the day, if the students can find something they really believe in, that's going to fuel their passion and inspire them to keep doing that.
So let's talk about your residencies. In addition to teaching and performing, these residencies are held at universities and festivals. For anyone who may be unfamiliar, can you describe what a residency is and what these residencies play in advancing your mission?
Residencies are perhaps the best way for us to interact with not only an audience, but also students, presenters. Usually we get to any university or conservatory or festival, and we are very lucky to, all of us, we have passion for teaching. So we spend hours working with young musicians, inspiring them, trying to show them what we do. We speak with the audience. We try also to share and to have a story to tell to people about the composers and the music that we are playing. And I think the residencies is also for us extremely important because we get to spend time with each other, and we are like a family. So it's also a great time for us to be there.
That leads me perfectly into the next question of what is your life like as a trio? Your collaboration and synergy, and they're extraordinary. So how do you approach the challenges of working together, especially when you're blending all of your diverse artistic ideas?
I think that definitely one of the major challenges of chamber music is finding that balance between striving for artistic excellence while also keeping a collegial and like respectful and friendly communication with your colleagues. And that is something that unfortunately not every time is achieved, even in major groups that have been formed. There are historically famous stories about people that don't get along but have played for years and years together. But fortunately, that's not the case with us. We are all from the same country. It's a country that has gone through a series of challenges in the past few years. And I believe that is something that has bonded us beyond the fact of the music making, because we have that shared experience. And also I have to say that Simone and I go back for a long time. We have been making music together for many years and being very good friends. And we had tried to form different groups in the past. We actually had one quartet that lasted two concerts. But Ana Maria apparently was the glue that we needed for us to have a stable group that has been, I believe, without hesitation, the most successful that we have had. And of course, the definitive one. I don't think we're going to have anything else after this. So I am very happy to share that we find basically no major challenges in combining our professional work with our social interactions. They are all very enjoyable.
So now I'm curious, do you have any favorite memories of the times that you've spent together that you can share with us?
Yes, but I can't share that with everyone.
We have had the privilege of staying in really beautiful places together. Like we were just in Santa Cruz, and the hosts that we were staying with had this gorgeous house right in front of the beach in Santa Cruz. So we were spoiled rotten for several days with great food and this beautiful beach, so we could just wake up and then walk on the beach and then rehearse. So I think we've been very lucky to find people that are wonderful in our travels and to be in beautiful places like San Miguel de Allende. We were just there a few weeks ago, and it's such a beautiful town. I'd never been there, I think. Horacio, you've been there before, right? Right. But I think for Simon and me, it was the first time. And those things are really beautiful. One memory for me is that we had a concert in Bogota in 2022. And my family, I have half of my family lives in Colombia, and I hadn't seen them in a while. And they had never seen me play. So I had cousins and uncles and aunts that travel from other cities to come see the concert in Bogota. So at the end of the concert, I had like 15 family members there. And it was so nice, to share that with the guys, but also to have my family there and to see what I do. Also, I have to say, one of the reasons I think we get along is because we do a lot of things with humor. So if one of us does something dumb or silly, or if we don't agree with an idea that somebody else has, then, you just say it with humor. So then it's not so painful, and then it works, and then nobody gets upset. So I think humor is an important part of our relationship.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. So let's talk about what's coming up. Talk about your debut album. It's received critical acclaim. And what is next for the trio? Are there any projects, upcoming performances that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, we are actually in the production phases of a new album, and we are already booking the recording dates for our third. So we are very excited with that. The albums will have all music by living composers that are either Latin American or have a deep influence from Latin America. That's with the Ortex Digital Classics label from Mexico, which is also fantastic. It has been a phenomenal collaboration. And we have also concerts later this year in Spain, in the Picasso Museum in Malaga, in Bogota, in Colombia, with the Banco República Music Series, which is a very important cultural institution there. We will have concerts later in Wisconsin, in Maine, in Music Mountain. Then we have our festival in Mexico in November, and we have to also play the Beethoven Triple Concerto in September, for which I am already practicing a lot because that's a very painful cello part. So we have a lot of things. I usually don't think about what we have in the future, because then I am like a sports player. When you watch interviews of sport players, they usually say, I go game by game, and I am only thinking about the next game, and I feel that when you're on tour and you're frequently on tour, that's the mentality. You plan ahead and everything is set there, but once you are on the thing, you just go game by game. So my mind is put on my next concert, and I'm just so much looking forward to it.
So as we wrap up today, is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, of course, to thank you for this opportunity, and for sure to invite everyone to the concerts that we're having. We really hope that the music that we are doing will expand the vision of music for them. So we are very excited to get to the East Coast very soon.
And we can't wait to have you here in beautiful Western New York. You're going to see mountains and just gorgeous landscape. And it might be a little chilly when you get here, so please bring a warm coat. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you so much for sharing your passion for Latin American music, your insights into your creative process, and the stories behind your incredible work. For those listening, don't miss the chance to experience the magic of the Reverón Piano Trio live at the Regina A Quick Center, March 14th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are available at ticketor.com/quickarts. Keep an eye on their upcoming performances and projects at www.reverontrio.org. We are so grateful to artists like the Reverón Trio who enrich our cultural landscape and inspire us through their artistry and scholarship. Thank you for joining us at the Quick Center. And until next time, take care and keep supporting the arts.